I am Wes Riddle. I'm running for U.S. Congress in the new District 25. And my wife, Aida, is here with me. We're from Bell County. The new district consists of Western Travis, Western Hayes, Burnett County, Lampasas, Cordell, Western Bell, Hamilton, Bosque, Hill, Johnson, Little Piece of Tarrant, Somerville, half of B-Red, about 13 counties, and 700,000 people. It is a conservative area. Thank God for that, because it means that Lloyd Doggett will not be your opponent. But having said that, that's why primaries are so important. And unless you make the decision in the primary March 6, 2012, you're going to miss the opportunity to ensure that the most conservative grassroots candidate with Tea Party credentials, who runs on the motto of faith and freedom and actually believes in the Constitution, you got to make sure that he wins there. You got to make sure that there's not going to be an establishment anointed one or a pick. You've got to make sure that it's not going to be someone who doesn't have this timid brand of conservatism, because the time for timid conservatism is over. Because I'm with you here. Yes, people have been saying it's the end of the world for as long as the world has existed. But I'll tell you what, I remember 1979, and I'll tell you, if we had a second term with Jimmy Carter, it might have been the end of the world. But we mobilized, and we caused the Reagan Revolution. Now this is a political situation that's very similar to that. We cannot stand 4 more years of Obama. We cannot stand the socialization of the United States of America. And it is the great state of Texas, the most red, that is going to give the intestinal fortitude to the entire Republican Party and the people of this country to save this country and to say, you know what, we are not under Reconstruction anymore. And we are Texans. And we understand that the Constitution is more than a document that's infinitely flexible. It says what it says, and it means what it says. And according to the 1st and the 9th and the 10th Amendments, why, goodness, there's no reason why we can't have prayer in schools if that's what the Texans want. There is no reason why we can't overturn Roe v. Wade if Texans say that's what we want. There is no reason we should have federal intrusion into the right to keep and bear arms, because that's what Texans want. And I guarantee that we must repeal Obamacare, and there's nothing in the Constitution that says that the government can tell a private individual to use his private money to buy any private product whatsoever. And that means orange juice or health insurance. Because if the government tells you that, it's not your money, it is not your choice, and that transaction is no longer private. That must be ended, because this is nothing more than a pretext for a seizure of 13% of the economy. 16%. 16%. And growing. And growing. And I watched this compromise, as it were, in Congress the other day. And you know, it reminded me when I was in UI, I remember that University Interscholastic League, you know, going to play your music at a competition. I was a snare drummer. All right. Well, now, my metaphor is better if it's piano, okay? But say you go in and you play your piano before the judge, and you have a problem with your memory. You went to play Mozart, but you came out with chopsticks, right? Remember chopsticks? Just, in other words, the Congress had the opportunity and the responsibility, and should be held accountable, to do something to solve the big problems in this country. We're talking about 1.65 trillion deficit a year. We're talking about 14.5 trillion national debt. And what do they give us? They give us a bare, well, first of all, they increase the debt limit, and then they decrease, what, 2 trillion maximum if the commission does what it's supposed to do. And all it means is that we're shaving a little bit off of the inevitable growth of the federal government. So that although we've got 14.5 trillion now, in 10 years at this rate, we will have about 24 trillion. So instead of the debt being the entire size of the American economy, which it is right now, it'll be twice the size of the American economy. Folks, it is time for business as usual to be ended. And I offer myself as a voice to do that. I do have the courage of convictions, and I'll tell you very quickly what my background is, and then I'll get off the soapbox, because I know it's been a long evening. But I ask for your help. I ask for your assistance. I want you to come to a straw poll candidates forum that the Republican Party here in Travis County is graciously hosting in Lago Vista, and the North Shore Republican Club in Lago Vista is co-hosting with them. I want you to go there. Listen to the candidates. Vote for the candidate of your choice. And I would ask you to vote for the Liberty candidate and the Tea Party candidate that's standing right here, because I need your help, and because we can win this, and because I have the budget and the organization and the political know-how to do it, because I started in politics in 1970, founded the youngest teenage Republican club in the history of Texas, 8th grade. And I was Ronald Reagan's youth advisor in 1979. And then Bill Archer gave me a nomination to West Point. And I went to the academy, 4 years at the academy, 20 years as a military officer, retired lieutenant colonel. And along the way, I got my master's degree from Oxford. I taught military academy, American history, and American political tradition. I know the United States Constitution.
Yes.
And you do too, because you, like me, carry it in your pocket and you actually read it.
Yes.
And you believe in the founders' original intent. Okay. And then I founded the Central Texas Tea Party because about 2009, I had absolutely enough in terms of the way this country was going. And even as a retired military officer, doing well, happy to fish and enjoy life, let me tell you what, we have a responsibility. Every one of us have a responsibility to save this country and pull it back from the brink. And there is a faith-based issue here too. It is a spiritual battle at root, and you know it. Because what we have done is we have separated the faith and the freedom that have made this country great, and you know that perfect liberty exists in the nexus of these two. It is our cultural grounding in Judeo-Christian values which gives us the ability to self-regulate so that the government won't impose regulation from the outside. And we've lost some of that. But it's there. But now we're in a tricky situation where the government is actually precluding us from doing the things that will nurture the growth of good people again. And so this is why we have to do the one unfinished business of Reagan's legacy, and that is to restore the balance between the states and the federal government. And I heard him say that in 1981. I was there at his inaugural. He said that the federal government shows signs of exceeding the consent of the governed. He said that what we must do is redress the imbalance between the states and the federal government to restore federalism, the dual sovereignty between the states and the federal government, such that the federal government does the things that we've enumerated powers to it to do, and everything else is reserved to the states and the people respectively. He did a lot of things. God bless him. Ended the Cold War, won that Cold War. But we today have that mission left for us to fulfill. And that is the thing that I want to do as a voice for the state of Texas in Washington, D.C. And it will not be one that is one of endless compromise or timid conservatism, but it will be one for a restoration of the Constitution, a restoration of this great republic. In God we trust. And God, with God's help, we must have His help to win this particular battle, because we have an agenda that is absolutely socialist and bent on the destruction of our way of life. Folks, I cannot talk like this everywhere on the campaign trail, and you know that. But this is the place. You have to know who's one of you. You have to know exactly what I'm about. And we are about a new revolution, and this is the beginning of it. Right here in the heart of Texas, in central and north central Texas, we will begin the movement that will reclaim the United States of America. I'm Wes Riddle, and thank you.